A woman sits in a £40 million apartment, surrounded by priceless art and gilded frames, but she's never felt more alone. Her phone buzzes. Another notification. Another headline. Another knife to the heart. The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, stares at the screen, her coffee growing cold in bone china that's older than most countries. The Daily Mail's headline burns across her retina like acid. Duchess difficult. Palace sources reveal Meghan's demands are tearing the royal family apart. But here's the thing that'll make your blood boil. This wasn't just another tabloid hit piece. This was character assassination, wrapped in a bow of barely concealed prejudice. "Harry," she whispers, her voice cracking like autumn leaves. "Have you seen this?" Prince Harry rushes from his study, still in his morning workout gear, that famous red hair disheveled. One look at his wife's face tells him everything. The man who once walked behind his mother's coffin, who survived Afghanistan, who faced down the Taliban. This man's heart breaks watching his wife's spirit crumble. "Not again," he breathes, taking the phone. His jaw tightens as he reads. "They're calling you Hurricane Meghan now. They're saying you made Catherine cry at the dress fitting. But that's not..." Meghan starts, then stops. "What's the point?" The truth died the moment it hit the printing press. See, here's what the headlines don't tell you. Meghan had been getting death threats. Real ones. Letters with powder. Messages so vile they made grown security officers wince. And the palace. They tracked every single one, but never once issued a statement defending her. "I waited," Meghan tells Harry, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I waited for them to say something. Anything. When they attacked Catherine, they had statements within hours. When they went after William, the palace moved mountains. But me," Harry's hands shake, not from fear but from rage so pure it could power Big Ben. "I've been asking them for months. Every week another request. Please, just one statement. Just acknowledge she's being treated unfairly. And what do they say? Silence is the royal way." Those 5 words. 5 words that would eventually topple a 1,000-year-old institution's reputation in America. 5 words that would change everything. But let's rewind. Let's talk about what really happened that morning. Meghan wasn't just crying because of one headline. She was crying because she'd just realized something that would haunt her forever. She was expendable. The palace had a strategy, you see. Not the one they'd admit to, but the one whispered in the corridors between Clarence House and Buckingham Palace. Meghan was the lightning rod. Every attack on her was one less attack on the core royals. She was the shield, and she was supposed to be grateful for the privilege. "They're never going to protect me," she whispers to Harry, mascara streaking down her cheeks like war paint. "I'm not one of them. I'll never be one of them." Here's the moment that changed everything, and I mean everything. Harry makes a phone call. Not to his father, not to his brother, to his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, the woman who'd seen it all, survived it all, ruled through it all. "Granny," he says, his voice barely controlled, "I need 5 minutes." 20 minutes later, Harry's walking through the corridors of Buckingham Palace, past portraits of ancestors who conquered nations, past the very walls that had witnessed centuries of triumph and scandal. But nothing, and I mean nothing, had prepared the palace for what was about to happen. The Queen sits in her private sitting room, 2 corgis at her feet, a cup of Earl Grey getting cold on the table. At 95, she's seen prime ministers rise and fall, empires crumble, but the pain in her grandson's eyes cuts deeper than any political crisis. "She's breaking, Granny," Harry says, not bothering with formal protocol. "She's literally breaking apart, and they're standing by watching it happen." The Queen, this woman who'd maintained perfect composure through her sister's scandals, her children's divorces, her husband's gaffes, this woman's mask slips for just a moment. "Harry," she says softly, "the crown survives because it doesn't bend to every wind. But what about the people under the crown?" Harry fires back. "What about the people who are supposed to be protected by it?" The silence stretches between them like a chasm. Outside, tourists snap photos of the palace gates, having no idea that inside, a dynasty is quietly fracturing. The Queen looks at her grandson, this boy she'd watched grow up, who'd made her laugh at Christmas dinners, who'd brought such joy to her final years, and she sees his father in him. She sees Diana in him. But most of all, she sees a man who's watched his wife suffer in silence, while the institution he was born to serve chose strategy over humanity. "I cannot change 1,000 years of protocol for one person," she says finally. "Then maybe it's time the protocol changed," Harry replies. That night, Meghan sits in their bedroom, looking out at the London skyline. Harry finds her there, still in the same clothes from the morning, still clutching her phone like a lifeline to sanity. "I can't do this anymore," she whispers. I can't pretend that silence is strength when it's really just cowardice. Then we don't pretend, Harry says, sitting beside her. We tell our truth. And if they never forgive us, Harry takes her hand, and in that touch, she feels something she hasn't felt in months. Hope. Then we build something new, something better, something that protects the people it claims to serve. The next morning, the palace wakes up to find that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's Instagram account has been deleted. Their staff has been dismissed. Their royal protection has been returned. But here's the twist that'll blow your mind. The Queen's final words to Harry weren't anger or disappointment. They weren't even about duty or tradition. She looked at him, this grandmother who'd raised him, who'd seen him through the darkest moments of his life, and she said, "I understand." 2 words. 2 words that acknowledged what the institution never could. Sometimes love requires you to break the rules. Because here's what really happened that Tuesday morning. It wasn't just about racist headlines or palace politics or royal protocol. It was about a woman who'd spent her entire life fighting for justice, who'd used her voice to lift others up, being told that her suffering was the price of her privilege, and it was about a man who'd already lost one woman to the machinery of royal life, who refused to lose another. The real story isn't about what the palace said or didn't say. It's about what happens when silence becomes complicity, when tradition becomes a weapon, when the very thing that's supposed to protect you becomes the thing that destroys you. So the next time someone tells you that Meghan and Harry were ungrateful, that they should have just kept quiet, that they broke protocol, remember this. Sometimes the most royal thing you can do is refuse to let loyalty become a suicide pact. Sometimes the crown falls not because it's attacked from outside, but because it becomes too heavy for the people wearing it. And sometimes, just sometimes, walking away is the bravest thing you can do. The real question isn't why they left, it's why it took them so long.